of British
Right,
Lion Hearts.
I know what you're
Boxing
thinking.
team,
This is
who
old
probably
news.
take on Italian Thunder tonight at York Hall. What we normally do is we go and do a community.
This is Tony Davis, who says he performed CPR on PC Palmer before he tragically died at the Westminster terror, in inverted commas, event. Let's listen to some of the crap that he comes out with.
Activity, PR event, which was taking place for an hour in the House of Commons.
And so, at the moment the attack struck, whereabouts were you precisely?
So we were just leaving the exit, which I guess is sort of parallel to where the crash happened. At this moment of time, I had my phone out. I was taking footage, for social media. Good visit to the House of Commons. I didn't realise there was a crash then at that time, but I heard a fracas.
I think he's confusing fracas with fracas. Obviously, he hasn't learned his script very well. Let's play a bit more.
And
because you thought it was a demonstration at first.
Yeah, I thought it was a shooting demonstration. Because lots of people were running and they were coming.
There he was, prompted by Philip Schofield that it was a demonstration.
Towards the gate. And we were on the side of the barrier making our way to the exit to get onto the coach. And then all of a sudden I seen some large chap brandishing two knives come through the gate, start attacking the policeman. At that point then, just instinct kicked in, leapt over the fence, because obviously that guy needed assistance.
Were the policemen chasing after him, or did they run towards him?
No, I think they were holding the ground.
He thinks either they were or they weren't.
It's when, poor keeper
to stop
attacked
him from getting any further.
You start moving back with adrenaline pumping in. At this point, the assailant was, coming towards us, and I just recall out the corner of my eye, one of the marksmen coming out and,
and shooting him down.
Yeah, put 3 rounds.
Oh, prompted by Holly shooting him down. Does he not know what he's talking about? Does he have to keep being reminded about this drivel?
Now, what made you run towards that situation? Because many people would have been fearful, frightened, run the other way, and you say instinct kicked in. Well, actually, your instinct kicked in, which was to go towards Keith Palmer and administer him CPR before anybody else had.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. There he is. Tobias Elwood also gave CPR to PC Palmer. So we have two people that gave PC Palmer CPR, Tony Davis and Tobias Elwood, whilst surrounded by medics who are qualified and policemen.
I just knew he was in a great deal of difficulty. It didn't, everything happened so.
Note, in this photo shoot, you can't actually see any body. There's no terrorists on the ground. They've deliberately been obscured if there was anybody there.
But my natural instinct was, get over there and, give some assistance where need be. I'm not that specially trained in first aid, but I know the basics. I know, I can put someone at ease.
Yeah.
But
you knew he was in trouble.
Yeah, initially, when he fell to the ground, try to have a look at him, put him in the recovery position, make sure I check his pulse. He had a weak pulse. He was bleeding profusely.
Oh, bleeding profusely. However, we can't see any blood on the ground, so how's that happened?
That initial head wound, which didn't look too bad, although it was bleeding. I know a lot of police were screaming, "Oh, he's been stabbed in the head." But then he had another wound in his arm and another one, which I believe was probably the fatal one, on his rib cage. That I put my raincoat underneath, tried to stem the blood as much as I could, and then, but for that moment in time, I've obviously reviewed the footage and the audio I've got on my phone, and which I've given to the police. For about 90 seconds into it, another guy called Mike came and joined in, and at this.
Oh, so another guy, so not just you and Tobias Elwood, but another guy called Mike.
There's lots of police around, Keith's colleagues, and maybe 3.5 minutes later was when the MP,
Tobias Elwood,
came in and sort of took over on CPR.
And how much? I mean, you're not a medic. You're not trained for this. You were, like you said, you were going along as part of this boxing group. How can you process that in your head and deal with it? Now, when you woke up this morning, you must have had that moment of just clarity where you go, oh yeah, it's a normal day, and then it must have just hit you what had happened yesterday.
To be honest, I'm just carrying on. I think I'm down here for a job, a GB boxing coach. I've got to look at some boxers for tonight. Maybe tomorrow, the day after, maybe sink in a bit. But
Yes.
I guess I've just finished 22 years in the military, so.
Oh, 22 years in the military. It's that good old number 22. Comes up a lot, doesn't it?
Maybe, I don't know, some of those,
I bet that helped, yeah.
situations have been.
And once the MP, Tobias Elwood, had started work, did you stay at the scene?
Yeah. I actually got up as well because I want to go and have a look at the assailant. Because obviously he was being attended to. But, the MP, sorry, forget his name, he did a tremendous job. Everyone that was in there done a tremendous job. And I can't really commend the air pilot, the air doctor. Very, very professional, very thorough, and the stuff he went into was maybe a bit too sort of...
yes, of course. Let's not do that for the family.
But,
But I think it's reassuring, and you've seen it firsthand. It's reassuring to know that they are there and they do act. All our services act incredibly quickly.
Yeah, can't commend the services. Everyone just joined together. Great sort of show of solidarity.
And we should point out, because I'm sure that people have noticed. You
Wait
come
for
on
this,
today
coming
and
up now.
you brought one.
Oh, there we go. He's not wearing any shoes. There's a suggestion here that his shoes are being cleaned because they must have been covered in blood. This is the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard in my life. It must be.
And unfortunately, your shoes are still being cleaned.
His shoes are still being cleaned. So he only owns one pair of shoes and they're being cleaned. So he must have walked there in his socks. Oh,
Yes,
gets worse.
Thank you.
Well done. I'm going to take your hand.
Well, that's enough of that charade. Now, today was election day in the UK, and Tobias Elwood was re-elected as MP for Bournemouth West. So Tobias Elwood, possibly the biggest fraud in the history of England, perhaps, has been re-elected by the people of Bournemouth West. Can you believe that? I would suggest you get on the phone to Bournemouth West Conservative Party office and ask them about this so-called terror event.